3 years of marriage, 3 years of building a home, sharing a bed, planning a future. And one afternoon she sat me down on that same couch we bought together and told me she was leaving. She didn't cry. I didn't cry. Not then. She said she loved me but wasn't in love with me anymore. Then came the part that shattered me. It wasn't another man she met at work or a stranger. It was a family friend. Someone who came to our house for dinner, someone who smiled at me while planning his move behind my back. I sat there silent. I didn't beg. I didn't scream. I just nodded. When she walked out that door, I sat on that couch for 4 hours without moving. And then I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and for the first time in my adult life, I sobbed. Not like a man. Like a child who lost everything. That night, I weighed 290 pounds. But my soul weighed even more. The first 2 weeks were a blur. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I survived on coffee and regret. My body started shutting down. I lost 15 pounds in 10 days. Not from effort, from grief. I stopped answering calls. My mother would call and I'd let it ring. My friends showed up at the door. I pretended I wasn't home. I didn't want them to see me like this. A 290-pound man reduced to silence. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was the silence of the house, the empty side of the bed, the second cup of coffee I kept making out of habit. I'd sit at the dinner table with 2 plates and realize there was no one coming. I kept asking myself questions that had no answers. Was I not enough? Was it my weight? Did I work too much? Did I not love her enough? Or did I love her too quietly? The depression wasn't a storm. It was drowning in slow motion. Every morning I'd open my eyes and immediately wish I hadn't. 3 months passed. I had gone from 290 to 245, but not the healthy way. My muscles had wasted. My face looked hollow. I was smaller but weaker, inside and out. Then one night, around 2:47 a.m., I couldn't sleep. Again, I walked to the bathroom. I turned on the light, and I stood in front of the mirror. For the first time in months, I really looked at myself. And what I saw wasn't a man who had been wronged. What I saw was a man who had given up on himself. I saw someone waiting for someone else to save him. And in that moment, something shifted. I didn't hear her voice. I didn't hear my parents. I heard my own. And it said, if you don't stand up now, you'll spend the rest of your life on your knees. That night, I made a decision. Not to prove anything to her, not to get revenge, but because I was tired of being a victim in a story I was still writing. I started small. The first day, I just put on my shoes. That was the victory. The second day, I walked around the block. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I didn't stop. A week later, I walked 2 blocks, then 3. Then I started doing push-ups in my living room. 5 at first. Couldn't even do 10. My arms shook. I collapsed on the floor more times than I completed a set. But I showed up every day, even when I didn't want to. Even when the depression screamed at me to stay in bed. I joined a gym. But I went at midnight, when no one was there. Because I was ashamed. Ashamed of how far I'd fallen. Ashamed of the weight I carried. But I kept going. Month 1, 245 to 235. Month 2, I started lifting. Not heavy, just consistent. Month 3, I could see my collarbones for the first time in years. Month 4, I started packing muscle, not for her, for me. But here's what people don't tell you about transformation. The physical part is the easiest. The real battle is in your mind. Every rep was a conversation with my own demons. Every set was me telling myself, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. A year passed. I went from 290 to 220, then built muscle to a solid, strong 245. But that's just numbers. The real change was inside. I started sleeping again. I started laughing again. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped imagining conversations I'd never have. Then came the day I didn't expect. A mutual friend invited me to a small gathering. I almost didn't go, but something told me to show up, so I did. I walked in, and the room went quiet. Not because I wanted attention, but because I was unrecognizable. Not just my body, my presence. I walked differently. I held myself differently. I wasn't the broken man who sat on that couch anymore. And then I saw them. She was there, and he was standing next to her. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction, just peace. She stared at me for a long time. I saw her eyes go wide. I saw her nudge him. I saw the discomfort on his face, but I didn't engage. I just smiled. A real smile. And walked past them to greet my friend. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from a number I hadn't saved, but I knew it by heart. She wrote, "I saw you tonight. You look different. I don't know what to say. I think I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I read the message once, twice. Then I stared at the screen for a few seconds. And then I deleted it. Not because I was angry, not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I realized something profound that night. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And I had finally reached indifference. I didn't need her to see my transformation. I didn't need her regret. I needed to become someone who didn't need anything from her anymore. Some people will watch this and call it a revenge story, but they'd be wrong. Revenge means I'm still emotionally tied to her. I'm not. Revenge means I did this for her to see. I didn't. I did this because I had a choice. Let the betrayal destroy me or let it forge me. I chose to forge. I still fight depression. I won't lie to you. Some mornings the old darkness knocks. Some nights the memories still whisper. But now I have weapons I didn't have before. Discipline, self-respect, a body and mind I built with my own hands. And the greatest revenge? Not that she saw me and regretted. The greatest revenge is that I no longer care whether she does or not. If you're watching this and you're in the middle of your own storm, I want you to know something. You don't need to prove anything to the person who left. You need to prove something to yourself. You don't need revenge. You need a decision. One decision, one small step, one day at a time. The best revenge is becoming so powerful, so grounded, so at peace, that the past doesn't even have your address anymore. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want to walk this path with me, and remember, you're not broken. You're being built. From 290 to 245 to a new life. This wasn't revenge, it was a must.